Welcome to another episode of Creators Outlet, sponsored by our friends over at the Inked Marketing Team. If you've got a Kickstarter or Indiegogo that you could use a little help with getting past the finish line, contact Kevin Gillette over at Inked Marketing and see what they can do for you. 30 plus years in the business. Check them out for yourself, Inked Marketing Team. And we'd like to welcome our guest tonight, Robbie Andy Gray, and Noir.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
I'm still trying to figure out how to share this shit out, so give me a minute.
Okay.
Well. So let Robbie talk and tell us about how cool he is.
Yeah, Robbie, how cool are you besides having a Boba Fett curtains?
I can't take credit. These are my youngest sons, actually. So he's got the better taste than me for sure.
Oh, if you buy curtains like that, you can adopt me. I'm not going to move in or nothing. I just want Boba Fett curtains.
You just want the curtains.
So tell us a little bit about your career, what you've been doing, and how you got hooked up with Untitled Noir for this awesome project.
Well, got hooked up with him through Cthulhu Invades Oz, production that Travis Gibb had put on.
Yeah, I know that book well.
Yeah, I was really lucky enough to be part of that with Jonathan Hedrick, and he wrote a Tin Man and Cthulhu story, and so I contributed to that. And again, got to be involved with Hedrick writing the story for Kerra Prime here as well. And before that, I drew 3 issues of Collapse from Rising Sun Comics. Those are actually finally just getting in print, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, that's kind of how I found my way to this video screen.
What were you doing before that?
Art-wise or just regular everyday life?
How about both? We got some time to fill, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I did a few just different projects comics-wise for friends, just for free. That really didn't didn't go anywhere.
For exposure.
Right. Right.
Exposure is fine as long as it's on your terms.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But it gave me good practice, though, as well as the Collapse issues. Just gave me, got me in a groove, taught me how to do things that I didn't know how to do just from doing, pinups for shows and things like that. And you don't get the feel for doing a sequential thing, so it takes a different thought pattern. But yeah, before that, I do a lot of portraits as well. I do watercolor paintings, and
Nice.
I've drawn my whole life basically, and just wherever I can do it. And in my day job, my non-superhero job, I am a systems engineer and network engineer.
And that's what pays the bills for you to be an artist.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Any work title with the word engineer following it, I'm like, oh, they're doing okay.
I try to get by anyway, for sure.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, Robbie. So what is it that got you into comic books?
I actually still have the first few comics that I got that I was really interested in, and it was the Terminator series from Now Comics. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. Do what?
Who was the artist on that? Was that the Bisley covers, or was that Dark Horse?
No, this was pre Dark Horse. I know the ones you're talking about, which are super cool.
Okay.
But this is I don't even remember the interior art guy. But later on, when the series ended with Now Comics, Alex Ross did some of his very first work, Terminator: The Burning Earth, and I have those issues in a box in there actually. So that's what I started actually collecting. I got random comics here and there. Some Conan comics, Freddy Krueger comics, but I didn't collect sequentially.
Were you drawing before you bought comics, or were you drawing as a result of buying comics?
I've drawn before comics for sure, like from being really small. Like one of the first things I can remember drawing was a kid in first grade taught me how to draw a skull with a cowboy hat on it. And I just drew that over and over and over again. and I thought it was the coolest thing. And
By the
then
way, William, I have not figured out how to share this out on Facebook. I can't find it, so I don't know what the fuck's going on. But so let me ask you something, brother Robbie. When did you get into wrestling?
college, sort of, and then not really much after that.
What?
Yep. I was familiar with The Rock, I think. Yeah, during his heyday.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you were in Attitude Era. That was your first introduction into wrestling?
Yeah. I used to go to a friend of mine's apartment in college, actually, and he would have the wrestling on, mostly in the background. I was doing other things in the foreground, not all of them legal, but, that was always going on, in the background.
You said college. We got it.
Yeah, college. Time and place for everything.
Yeah. All right. Andy, what's up, my brother?
Not much, man. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Living that good afterlife, sir. Like, you don't just walk around with a club foot and not be happy when it unclubs itself.
When that foot gets unclubbed, it's time to go to the club.
It's clubbering time. So what is your day job, sir?
I am a storyboard artist for advertising agency.
Oh, so you just draw all the time.
All day, like from the time I get up until the time I go to bed, which you would think would mean I'd be a whole hell of a lot better at it. But
that was my thought.
Yeah, no. Apparently, I'm only allotted so much XP a day. Like, there's a level cap. It's yeah. It's straight up D&D rules. It is not like time played. It's milestones. 100%.
Okay, so once you've drawn 6 lawyers, you stop being like, that's it.
Yeah. Once you get past your 6th lawyer spot, you evolve into something not entirely holy. So, yeah, lawyers are fun.
What's the end game for you artistically? Like, what would you, if you were given the choice right now to have your dream job, what would it be? You still have to work, not millionaire, I'm eating grapes and shit. But like, if you had to work, but you could work at any job.
I think right now the bug has kind of gotten me that, like, I would love to be able to support myself and my family doing the creator-owned telling my stories thing. Like, that's one of the things that doing storyboarding and stuff has really put in the forefront for me is I've spent like the last decade telling other people's stories, right? They may not be really long stories or anything, but it's other people's stories. It's like it's nowhere near as satisfying as kind of telling your story. Like, there's times when it's fun, like when you encounter that one that's like, oh man, this is really cool. Like, I can't wait to help like bring this to life. This is gonna be really fun. But then I've got like that list of other things like, it'd be really fun to do this, but nobody out here is like saying, hey, I want to give you money to do that. So I think that would I think that would kind of be my dream gig, is like some of these guys who are set up on Patreon and stuff that are able to cycle through like 2 or 3 books. Like, they'll do, like 10, 12 pages, whatever, like on one book a month, then they'll do the next book. And so they got like 2 or 3 different stories that they're rolling through over time. Like, they don't get burned out on one thing. They get to kind of do their own stuff. Like, that sounds pretty amazing to me.
That does sound fun. I'm sorry, William, you can have your interview back, sir.
Okay. We'll swap off. So, I mean, how's this experience been for you? Like, working on a big project, like a big anthology book. I know Robbie's done anthology books in the past. Is this your first one, Andy, or?
Yes, I did a graphic novel, like about a decade ago that was supposed to be in an anthology book. But things got kind of twisted, and somehow they were like, yeah, no, just do like 120 pages instead. And I was like, yeah, okay, sure.
You did all 120 pages?
Yeah, like I've got a full graphic novel that came out from Arcana like about 10 years ago. It took like a year and a half of my life, doing all that stuff. It was fun, but yeah. So this is my first. I think my first anthology like this. So it's been really fun.
And it didn't take a year of your life to do it.
Yeah, that was the real fun part.
Part of the reason that part of what I thought would make this work was after watching Cthulhu Invades Oz and seeing all the different creators build up an IP. Although the IP wasn't creator owned, they were still all working to build that IP up. I was like, dude, if we take that model and put it on creator owned characters, which is what Kerra Prime is, and full of all these characters that first off mostly started with me, but that's not the end game. So I don't want to focus on, oh, Brian, everybody's making your shit look good. Well, dude, the point is so that once we build this shit up big enough, everybody can come play in my sandbox and we can all have fun. But we have to show people how cool the sandbox is first. And that's what this is. So I felt that 5 pages was enough to tell a decent story, enough to showcase a good amount of art, enough to showcase good writing, enough to make you want more, and it's not too much to write 5 pages. It's not too much time to draw 5 pages. Like, yeah, we still have to pay our letterers. We still have to pay our inkers. We still have to pay the people to do this stuff. But 5 pages is a lot less financially strapping than when, hey, will you contribute 20 pages of finished content to my book? You're like, oh, dude, well, you're asking for a pretty heavy investment at that point. So, and the people that participated in this project, most of them participated on a promise that at some point people will be paid.
Yeah, and I gotta say, just from my perspective, looking at it from not just the financial aspect of like, what am I getting out of this, but like, with it just being 5 pages, I didn't have to turn down other work to do it. Like that was one of the best things for me.
And the time limit was not like, for those of us that got on early, man, we had like 6 months to do 5 fucking pages. You can do that.
Yeah, I mean, I knocked 5 pages out like over.
I think you were the first one to turn in the work.
I may have been, yeah, because like I did it like over my Christmas. Like I took some vacation time from work over Christmas, and I was like, yeah, this seems like a fun thing to do. Like,
now see, Andy, all 3 of us here are in very different boats as far as Kerra Prime is concerned. So Andy wrote and drew his story. So when his portion of the money comes, that's all his money. Once we take out the lettering, the cost of lettering, like that's going to be his money. But Robbie was hired by Jonathan. So Jonathan either A, gave him money or promised to give him money based on whatever money Jonathan gets from his story. So technically Robbie worked for Jonathan on this project. So my job is to pay the writers, and it was the writers' job to assemble the team and make whatever promises that they were going to make to their creative teams. You know what I'm saying? So it's very dynamic, but it's a lot of it is built on trust, working relationships, and, you know, you alluded to it before, is exposure, but it's on my terms. I can say, you know what? I don't have the money, and I don't think I'm going to get the exposure that would balance out. So I'm going to opt out of this project. So some people chose to bounce. Some people didn't have the time. Some people couldn't front the money to get a story complete. Like they wanted to, but they didn't have the money to pay for their team. So this isn't the Prime way of doing business, but it's the only way I have.
I don't know. I think it works. I think it works pretty well, especially in the world we're in right now. I mean, like we live in a world where, and I was talking about this with another friend of mine that's doing like her own webcomic thing. It's like there are opportunities now for people to get out there and to get their work seen and even to get paid that didn't exist 10 years ago. Like,
oh yeah.
I mean, even the thought of doing something like this 10 years ago probably wouldn't have worked out. But you've got so many people working digitally now, and you've got so many people like who are able to meet people from other places. You don't just have to know people like around town and stuff. So I think it's kind of a great thing, and I think it's a fun model that works.
It is a
And I think
great time to be a creator.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Go ahead, Robbie.
I think it's created kind of a little community. I definitely feel like I'm kind of a part of a couple of Kickstarter communities now of people that have worked kind of here and there on both. And I wasn't a part of that like a year and a half ago. So it's actually kind of cool. My Facebook feed is filled with other kind of creators now, and got more people to follow on Instagram. And you just kind of see other people putting together their work and what they want to make succeed and kind of making it happen. It makes you want to get your work out there and succeed even more. And, everybody's just kind of dragging each other along, or at least that's how I feel about it.
Oh yeah. There's nothing quite as fun as somebody you've like worked on a project with being like, hey, look at what I'm doing, and you're like, oh, that's cool, and they're like, yeah, where's this thing you were talking about a month ago? And you're like, well, I know, no, shut the hell up and get to work. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like the accountability from having other people that you've talked to, and they're like, no, you told me about a cool idea. Like, no, you get on that right now, because we now have ways to make that work. Like, you don't have to get your cool idea picked up by Marvel or DC for it to get out into the world now. Like, we have plenty of people who are like, no, you put it on Webtoons. You can like host it on your own thing. You can do Kickstarter. You can set up a Patreon. Like, you can do all kinds of things to get, your work out and to be compensated for it. And like on this project, it's not like someone from Marvel or something was like, oh yeah, we want you to come work for exposure while we make billions of dollars. Like, it was a community thing where it's like, hey, like if we all come together and put something really cool out and people like it, like, dude, we're the ones that benefit from it, not some nameless, like soulless company. I love that.
Part of what went into putting this whole thing together, Will, was like taking different levels of experience in the indie game. Like, some of the people that are on this project have had very, very successful independent comic publishing careers, and some like you talked to, I believe Dustin was on, and he hadn't written shit. Like, all he had done has been buying Kickstarters for stuff. Like, so we have seasoned veterans. And then we have a couple of guys, this is their first thing they've done. And we've got everybody in between. So if this project is successful, how awesome is it going to be for the guy that, or I say guy, but I mean whatever individual is on the project. If that person on the project hasn't done much, now they can say they were part of this project with this, name brand person who has got a more recognizable name, or maybe a more recognizable product, and be like, yo, I did a project with that person. How awesome is that? And then that builds up their credibility and it builds up their self-esteem. And then now they think that they can go out and conquer the world, and motherfucker, they can go do that if they want. So the whole thing that I want to do with Kerra Prime, like fuck Volume 1 and the Tales and all this other shit, all it's supposed to be is a bunch of people helping people succeed and creating cool shit while we're doing it.
All kinds of creators lifting other creators up and helping them succeed and get in there
while providing excellent entertainment. Because what's missing in independent comics is that connected universe feeling that you get when you watch a Marvel movie, or you pick up that issue of Spider-Man and you're like, oh shit, I didn't realize Reed Richards was going to be in this issue. You're like, oh, that's cool. So, but when you go to independent comics, you're not going to see, that guy's character that you've been collecting for years in this guy's comic book, because it just, there's no precedent for shit like that. And hopefully with Kerra Prime, what we're trying to do is get eyeballs on the name and what is Kerra Prime, and keep an eye on it, because you never know who can turn up. That's the fun part.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to get my hands on my copy so I can dig into it, because I just like the idea. Yeah, you want to read everybody else's stuff now.
Yeah, I mean,
I really do.
I know.
Part of what I wanted to put together, like, I'm really, really, really went as deep into this as I possibly could. And I kept it as close. So I don't know too many other Kickstarters that have QR codes where you can play the fucking theme song of the character while you read their 5 pages. Not every character, but okay, so the whole book isn't like that. I couldn't afford all that shit. But there's there's like 9 stories inside of this anthology. That there's a little QR code. You scan it with your phone. It starts playing the music, and you can read that 5-page story while that character's theme music just kind of like softly plays in the background. That way you get a feeling of what the fuck's going on, man. Like, who's doing that shit?
You are.
Nobody.
Where?
I'm just saying, man. Like, so, and that's there's no reason that you should be able to buy this anthology that we've all put together. 120 pages of cool shit with 9 tracks and all this extra stuff for $20. That is the stupid amount of money. That's basically giving it away. And the reason that I priced it so low is just so we can try to get as many people. Oh man, $45 seems kind of steep. By the time you crack this bitch open and you look at it, you're going to be like, yo, I got double what I paid for. But the reason we made it low is because we're trying to get as many eyeballs on Robbie's work, on Andy's work, on the characters that we made, on the brand of Kerra Prime, listening to the music that Jake made. Like, we're trying to get exposure at half price.
And now I'm more excited because there's nothing better than cracking a bitch open.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, he's going with the
I mean, you can crack dudes open, you crack bitches, you can crack nuts for all I care.
I don't know about that. I'm getting kind of old for that.
All right, we'll crack some corn.
Okay.
we got pages. We got lots of pages. Crack the pages.
I'll crack some pages open.
Yeah.
But so I mean, really, it really warms me in the inside to see how prideful, like watching the stream that you did the other night, Will, with the other guys, and not to take anything away from the 2 gentlemen that are here, but I was watching that while in the hospital, not knowing whether or not I was going to have my leg fucking cut off or some shit because of a blood clot. But they said some of the nicest things that I don't think I've ever heard anyone say about me while I wasn't in the room. And I was like, holy shit, they get it. But I don't know how to process that because I really just want everybody to fucking eat cake. And I want us to all have fun doing it. And sometimes it feels like I'm just pissing in the wind. But then when I watched your show Monday or Tuesday, like whatever day it was, it kind of like, all right, Brian, some people are getting it. And that, dude, I felt like I walked around with a boner, even though my foot had all the blood in it. But I promise you, I had a little bit left over.
Just enough.
Just enough to swell it up.
Just the tip.
It really has been fun seeing what everybody's done and seeing how excited everybody is to just be involved. And like there are people who have worked on like big name stuff that have came in and they're just like, yeah, this is fun. Like, let's see what you're doing. Oh, that's fun. Like it's it's got kind of like that it's like that Artist Alley feel.
Yeah.
Like where, yeah, the dude who works for Marvel and DC that's got like 3 booth space, and like everybody knows their name and they're hanging out with like the guy who's like, this is their first show and everybody's just like, yeah, this is the life. This is what we do. Like, even if you work for Marvel or DC, like you still got to sit there for hours and hours and draw pages. So like, welcome to the life, kids. This is it. This is the fun.
And hopefully what this does is also increases everybody who participated in the projects. Now their creative network has now grown. They've been put in contact with people that are in their creative network. I'm sure Will, in whatever field that you choose to do, but networking is a BFD as far as being a success. Okay. I don't care. It's not all networking is huge.
Oh yeah.
And stuff like this project here could do wonders for people's networking ability. And the main beneficiary is the readers who are going to pick this up and be like, yo, look at all of this. I didn't like this story and this story, but these 8 stories right here got me. You know, because there's not, I guarantee you that all 19 stories aren't going to hit with everybody. But I guarantee you that one of them stories is going to hit with you. I promise you. One of those stories you're going to like. One of those artworks you're going to like. One of those characters you're going to like. And I mean, hopefully, in a perfect world, it'd be more than one. But I promise you, there's no way that you can pick up a 120-page thing with 19 stories and say, fuck everything about that book. You can't do that.
Yeah. Especially considering like this wasn't like a like a big Marvel DC thing where they come down to, oh, this is the mandate, this is the event, this is how this has to happen. There was like, it's not how this went down. It was literally like, hey, this is the sandbox, these are the toys, make something cool. And Brian was just like, here, make cool shit, go.
So you have this story right here. It's about love and loss. You have this story about redemption. You have this story about just being an evil person. You've got this story about doing heroic in the face of danger. Like all these different little stories just to get you a little bit more of the character. Like for instance, let me go ahead and give you this. So the character that I wrote was Deadlift. If you read Deadlift's entry in the Kerra Prime handbook that I did last year, he is a 100% bad guy. Oh shit! Hold on. I'm fucking calling 911.
We've got a man down.
Yeah, fucking mute that shit. I don't want to hear somebody dying on air.
Man down.
But so you take Deadlift, and if you read his entry, he is completely. Oh, let me show you Deadlift just in case. So this is Deadlift. So if you take Deadlift and you read his bio in the handbook, hold on. Are we okay? You okay?
Yep. Every now and then I have to remind myself I can't breathe water yet.
Okay. You gotta get them gills. But so you read Deadlift's entry, and he is a 100% bad guy. But what I wrote for this anthology piece is prior to the war, which is the war is like the main event that kind of sets everybody on a different path. Like there's what you were before the war, and then there's what you are now after the war, right? So my story for Deadlift takes place prior to the war to kind of, was he always a bad guy? Was he always just a bully? Was he just a thug? Who knows? But in my story, we're going to see what he was before he became the character that is presented in the handbook. And so when I passed out the character sheets or the list of people to pick, all they read was the entry, and then they could pick, well, do I want to tell like maybe something from his past? Do I want to tell something from their future? Do I just want to like, so it's very fluid. They just got to see where what they wanted to bring to that story. And that to me was fun.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And I know there was a lot of talk the other night about the wrestling buddies.
Oh yeah, I just showed you one.
Those are awesome.
Like I was trying to figure out how to put voice boxes in them, but I was gonna do it, but that would raise the price per buddy by $30. And I don't think anyone's paying that much for my buddies yet. Now, with that said, once we start building up Kerra Prime and people start getting attached to certain characters and stuff, maybe we can command that money. But right off the rip, nobody's paying for a voice box buddy of a character they've never fucking seen before. I promise you. But so it's coming, but I have to be smart about what we're doing and when we're doing it. We're still at 152 backers, Will. What are you doing, man?
I don't know.
Have you put the link in the comments? I don't see it. How are they supposed to know where to throw their money? We got 43 hours, Will.
43, is that it?
43 hours. You know, maybe if I refresh, it's probably even less. Let me see.
It's probably less, I think.
No, it says 43 still. 43 hours, Will.
43 hours.
I'm just going to sit here and talk to you for 43 hours.
Okay,
We'll
have to start a second stream. They'll only let me go for like 8 hours at a time.
All right, I'm going to have to change my name because this shit right here is hot.
Whoa! Ryan Silverbacks, where'd you come from?
That shit right there is hot.
Holy resurrection, Batman.
Oops, I got to spell my name right.
No, there's no need for that. It's Friday night. At this point, no one should be able to spell their name right.
Yeah, but now that I've got gout, I can't do the Friday night stuff anymore.
Yeah, there's no drinking on gout. I was an evil bastard every time I got gout because I couldn't drink, and I worked
no steak, no beer, no seafood.
Ooh.
I've had a touch of it myself here and there. Actually, it sucks.
Oh well, don't let it get to whatever happened to me. God dang, man, that was terrible.
Yeah, it looked rough, dude.
That was terrible. So, Will, I'm sorry, I've interrupted your questioning. Go ahead, man.
I don't know. I derailed already, which is probably one of the stories in this book. But and the Kickstarter is in the chat. That was my bad. I should have put that up before we even went live. But what else do you want coming out of this? I know you want creators coming back and doing one-shots, mini-series.
Oh, okay, so you want to know what the goal is overall?
Yeah.
All right, so the goal overall is to once a year drop another volume where we get 5-page stories of characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in those 5-page stories is where we will test out, maybe new writers and new artists and create our own characters. Like Andy comes to me and says, "Hey man, I've got a character that I've got a Bullet Head. I want to have Bullet Head come into Kerra Prime," and then we would test Bullet Head out in a 5-page. We'd team him up with a character that's somehow already into Kerra Prime. He would do a 5-page story, and then we would kind of see how it played and how it worked and did it feel right. And that would be the end of that. But so once a year we'll have the volume, but then we'll do like 6 issues a year called Kerra Prime Presents, which will operate kind of like Marvel Comics Presents. But every issue will be a story, a 20-page, like it'll all be one story. So it'll be 20 pages. So the way it's set up now is like if you get Kerra Prime Presents #1, it would be like a complete Apex story. It's like from start to finish, it would Apex story. And then I started working with another guy. I don't want to give away the name, but he's got Character X, right? And he's going to write 3 issues on Character X. So that means that Kerra Prime Presents #2, 3, and 4 would be the part 1, 2, and 3 of that character story. And then Bullet Head is in there. And then it'll be Kerra Prime Presents number 4 or number 5, and it'll be a Bullet Head story. So it'll constantly be. So the title will be Kerra Prime Presents, but all these much longer drawn out stories will take place underneath that banner, so that it's not like, oh, Bullet Head gets its own title, Proudhorn gets his own title, Apex gets his own title. It's not. It won't be like that. We're just gonna follow all of this, and then so Andy is working on Bullet Head, Robbie is over here working on a 60-page story for whatever character he's working on. So by the time Andy's story is done, Robbie's story is ready to go, and then now it just plugs right back into the system. So we're never waiting for content because we're always going to be using different artists and different creators and different writers and different characters and stuff. And as long as I'm there to maintain like the Kevin Feige continuity of everything, then it'll still feel canon to the universe. I'm doing all right. My foot's better. So today I had to go get an upper endoscopy this morning. So there was no eating or drinking. So this is where they had to take some blood. This bruise right here is from where they tried to take some blood. And then this is where the IV was for while I was getting my procedure. And then this is where I got my little COVID shot today. And then this is where all the went down. And then my ass cheeks is what got the shots on Monday for the gout. But I'm all better.
Sounds like a great week.
Yeah. It's dude. I have been to the VA hospital in Atlanta twice in 1 week. That's crazy. Oh, and I got a COVID test, and this is the first time I've had a COVID test where they touched the back of my skull.
Oh yeah, I've had that a few times.
He's like, "Oh,
isn't that fun?"
He's like, "Close your eyes. I'm rolling around." Wow! I was like, "God damn!" Like I felt
like
the pop out the back a little bit.
It's like that scene in Species where she just goes all the way through the guy's head.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it is too. It feels like a 20-foot long Q-tip, and then when they pull it out, I'm like, "Can you please pull it out?" It's been out for like a minute.
No, it wasn't that long. He just went like that. Like it wasn't. It was in and out before I could say, "Oh shit!" Like it was done.
You got the doc that played
No,
darts.
I got the nurse that took her sweet ass time to. She went up one nostril, then she did the other one. I'm like, geez.
He's all about handling the business, man.
And I was just getting, I was getting like flashbacks because I had one time where I had something wrong with me where my stomach was just like a big block. Well, it's always a big block, but nothing was moving. It was just like swelling up. I was turning into the Michelin Man. So they had to put the hose up my nose, down my throat, into my gut, and keep my stomach pumped the whole time till they got me to Mass General where they could figure out what the hell was wrong with me.
Yeah, sorry about that, buddy, but fuck, let's talk to Robbie. Robbie, what's next in your comic career, buddy?
Well, I've got a as yet unnamed project coming up right around Christmas. It'll be another Kickstarter, hopefully, crossing my fingers that'll all come together. And then also I've got some pages coming up in Cthulhu Invades Wonderland.
Are you working with Jonathan again on that one?
No, I'm working through Travis, and I think I might be working with Travis and another writer whose name I can't recall off the top of my head, actually. Yeah. And so far on the horizon, I think that's about it that I've got really kind of pretty hard lined up.
Yeah, well, I mean, with a full-time job, and you're a family man, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, I got two little boys, a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old, and
so full-time job, family man. It's not like you have a ton of time to dedicate to the craft of arting.
Yeah, oh yeah, that is very true. I put in some overtime at the regular job this week, and I'm actually finishing up a portrait of somebody's dog who passed away. But I'm doing like a graphite portrait of for a commemorative piece. So I got to get that sent out this weekend.
All right, now Robbie, out of all of what you've seen inside the Tales of Kerra Prime Volume 1, KerraPrime.com, out of all that you've seen, what is the thing that moves the needle the most for you? Like, is there an art or a story or a character? Is there anything that you're like, dude, I can't fucking wait to see what that is?
Actually, yeah, and I can't believe I can't remember the name of the artist.
I'll help you.
Yeah, he's the artist on Freak Show Night with Hedrick, I think.
Okay, that's Stefano. So you want to see Stefano Cartacelli?
Yeah.
You want to see his written by Evan. Evan wrote Red Hawk, and Stefano did the artwork.
Yeah, that artwork looks great. I'm really excited about seeing it. I've got Freak Show Night also, and he's just sharp. He's it's really good stuff.
Yeah. So when I reached out, Evan was one of the last people that I reached out to, not because I didn't want Evan, because I knew that he was very busy, and I had already. But I had a couple of people that bailed out of the project, during the process, and I had gaps to fill. And I was like, all right, well, these two people have left the project. Now I have more to choose from. I was like, Evan, if you want to, I've got room if you'd like to get in here, but here's how it's kind of set up. Dude, he turned his shit in less than 10 days. Finished, lettered, ready to go.
Wow.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So he was a very late entry, but like I said, it wasn't because I didn't want him to be a part of the project. It's because in my mind, I kind of like picked people that I thought were maybe on a similar level to me. Like I don't want to box above my weight class. You know, I'm not asking Donnie Cates to write for us. You know what I mean? And I'm not, so I'm trying to keep it to where I think that, all right, here's, let's be realistic. These are the guys that we could play with, and I'll reach out to them. And if I just assumed that you were too busy, I wouldn't even ask. Or if I assumed you were above my pay grade, I wouldn't ask. But the whole, like, for me, like one of the biggest acquisitions, and not to take anything away from you guys, was the writing team from Metal Shark Bro and Ninja Nuns. Like I've done work with them, but it's not like they're not my bosom buddies. Like I don't call them on the weekends and we don't talk shop all the time. And I just figured that they were doing too much cool shit that they probably didn't have time to mess with me. Right. But based on some of the other people that were messing with me said, why don't you ask those guys if they'd be a part? I was like, all right. I just didn't think this would be something they could waste their time on. And then I hit up Kevin and Bob and they were like, oh yeah. Oh, and you've got a wrestling character? Let me do that. So the two of those guys are very big professional wrestling fans. And when they found out that I had like a horror themed professional wrestler story, they were like, and no one's taking that? I was like, yeah, I was kind of holding it for myself, but if you're coming on, I'd certainly love to have you. And then since I had already started writing a full script for him, for the character, I had to show them the script so that they could kind of like not disavow anything I was already putting together for the future script for the character. But so for me, that was like a get. And having Stefano on the book, like I really admire his artwork and the disjointed style. Like I can't separate myself from my needing the lines to come to a complete end. I need everything just right dress. And when I see his shit, there's shit all over the place, and I'm just like, my mind would melt. So so I appreciate it more because I can't unwrap my mind to figure out how to do that stuff myself. So Andy, same question to you. Out of looking at all the stuff that we've seen over the past couple of months, putting this project together, Tales from Kerra Prime Volume 1, KerraPrime.com, what has got you the most kind of like intrigued or excited, or what is, other than saying, oh, I just want to have it in my hands and look at the whole thing? Like there's got to be, like, focus it on maybe a character or show me something.
Okay, so you've named two of the three things that I am super excited about. Stefano's art, because when I do non-digital stuff, I love doing watercolor stuff. So seeing someone else doing that, because it's such a complete departure from, like you were saying, of like, this line has to connect to that line.
Yeah.
So that I can fill my shadows in, so that I can put my color. Like watercolor, it does what it's gonna do, and you're along for the ride. So,
yeah, and you dance around. You either command that watercolor, or you adapt and overcome.
Yeah, and so like, see, I cannot wait to see more of what he's done.
The 5 pages won't be enough. I can promise you that.
It won't.
The 5 pages of Stefano's art is not going to be enough, and you're going to be like, God damn.
Yeah, that's another thing. I cannot wait to find more people's artwork in this that I can look at and be like, oh, cool, I have new names to find stuff from. Like that, like it's like I'm getting like a little treasure map, and I'm excited. But
you're also getting new coworkers, so to speak.
Yeah, that's cool too. So like his artwork definitely has me going. Who did you say is the artist for Muerto?
Oh, the artist, Ricardo Lima Jr.
Ricardo Lima Jr. Yes. What I've seen, I think I've seen a page of that story.
Yeah, that was the Sugar Skull lady doing the parade.
Yes. Oh man, that kind of artwork is like, it's kind of the polar opposite of Stefano's stuff, where like it's super crisp, it's super clean, it's got like a smoothness to it.
Yeah, and it's almost like, so I had to color most of these entries you color your own stuff. Out of the 19 entries, I've probably colored 15 of them.
Oh wow!
So only because I was free. But so when I saw that line art, when it came time to color it, I tried to. I felt like it felt very animated to me.
Yeah,
so I didn't try to render a lot of details. I really just wanted to throw in that hard Family Guy shadow and say that's all we're getting.
And it works so well. So like, I didn't realize you had done that much of the coloring, because it all like. Let me just give my props to you on the art side for that, because the coloring isn't all one coloring, one render style from what I've seen. Like I've literally seen you like matching your coloring style to the line work style. So like,
I'm trying.
Way to go on that.
Dude,
Yeah, for real.
I'm just doing enough to get by because I'm free. Like I would much rather have been able to afford a colorist to come through and blow us all away, because I know it could be done. I just don't lack the talent, but I have enough talent that we can skate by and maybe just go unnoticed. But I think in the hands of a real colorist, this whole thing would have banged out of the water.
Yeah, well, you say real colorists, but like real colorists are the people who get the job done, and you got the damn job done. So, what?
Yeah.
Hello, real colorist, sir. Nice to meet you. That's in the professional world. Done is better than great and not done. And like,
yeah, I guess so.
You got the job done on that.
So let's pass that on to anybody that may watch this 48 minutes into it. Get shit done. Even if you are the best at whatever, you're the Todd McFarlane or you're the Donnie Cates, nobody gives a shit about unfinished scripts or unfinished pages or unfinished comic books or unfinished prints. If you feel like, oh, you can do better then you finish that one thing that you're on and do better the next time. The key element to success in this area, as far as I can tell, is to get shit done. It's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be your best work, but your next thing will be better. And you can't get to your next thing until you fucking finish the first thing.
Yeah, get your reps in. That's literally what it amounts to for anything. An engineer, it doesn't matter if you do not get the reps in, you do not get your everyone, like I when I hear people talk about like, oh, practice makes perfect. No. That full saying is perfect practice makes perfect. So if you just practice half-assing it, then that's what you're going to get good at. If you practice not finishing, that's what you're going to get good at.
You'll wonder why people like, man, I draw better than him. You may draw better than that guy, or you may draw better than this lady over here, but they've got 6 completed projects. That's why they're selling an Artist Alley. And you're saying, I'm still working on my first book from 10 years ago. You have to get stuff done. They're not better than you. They're just getting more shit done.
Yeah, look, Netflix is full of movies that are questionable, but you know what? They're on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yep.
They got paid for, they got bought because they exist. Like, take your idea, take your thing, and make it exist so that people can get it. Before I forget, my third. Those were the two obvious things in there that I'm super happy about. The third one, and I might be the most excited about this, is Bloody Mary. Because my friend Elise didn't Elise do the artwork on that?
No, Elise did Vegas.
Elise did Vegas, yeah. So Bloody Mary and Vegas, those, like, both of those. Bloody Mary, because the character looks like it's going to be real fun to watch.
Yeah, it is. Dude, it's the story. So Bloody Mary's another character that I did that when Raven took the character to say that that's who she wanted to do, I had already started writing a script for Bloody Mary for a graphic novel. So I had to let her see what I was already doing with Bloody Mary and say, all right, now here's what you have. Play with something. Like, so she had a little bit more information to go on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm excited for that. And you know what? She's excited about it. And she did all of her own writing and she was you. Except she did her own lettering too. She did her
so
own
she was
writing.
good. Yeah.
Her own writing, her own coloring, her own drawing, and her own lettering. She turned everything in complete.
Nice. Yeah. It shows, like, just from what I've seen, like that excitement on it shows.
And see, Elise I had asked Elise to be part of the project in the early stages, and she was too busy, or she just didn't. It wasn't feeling right, and so she said, "You know what? I'll have to respectfully decline at this point." And that was towards the beginning. Well, then I had a couple of people back out. Remember, I told you that.
Mm-hmm.
And then now I had an opening, and I had remembered that I wrote a full-length story for Vegas, and I was working with Elise on those pages already prior to any of this shit. So she already had 4 pages done, and I was like, well, I'll reword some of the stuff, and then we'll just turn that into an entry in the handbook. So all she had to do for this is finish up that last page, and then I had to rework the script to try to make it feel a little. It's not quite as fluid as some of the other stories because it's a cobbled together script, but I wanted to make sure that we showcased like her skill set and this other character and this strong female badass character, as well as a strong female artist. Like I didn't want that to go unused. So I cobbled together from what I had. So, but I think it turned out wonderful, and I'm happy to have her.
Yeah,
I was looking for a way to incorporate Elise. Elise is amazing.
Yeah, I cannot wait for people to see more of her artwork, because it's another one of those, like, it's another one of those very distinct styles. Like, when you see her artwork, you kind of know, like, that's her artwork. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Well, yeah, man, I'm excited too. I'm glad that it's not just me that's excited. I'm glad to hear that both of you guys are also excited about seeing more of what's inside, that you're still a part of it, but you're kind of like, dude, I'm a part of it and I still get to act like it's Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, Will.
So are you guys, once you get the book and you get to sit down and soak it all in, are you actually going to be just soaking it in and enjoying it? Or are you going to be looking to see if there's another character that you want to grab a hold of? And
I guarantee you I'm going to get phone calls, Will. I'm going to get messages saying, yo, Brian, next time I want to do this person. I might not even extend you the offer, but they're like, they're all already going to be like, all right, I'm coming back. Right.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm on the short list. Right. And I'm going to, and so that's it. I don't look forward to that, because at some point I'm going to have to say no to somebody. I assume, I don't know, just being on the glass half full, I'm assuming they're all going to want to come back. But if they all come back, then we don't have room to add new people, which is kind of what we're trying to do. Mm-hmm. So I do look forward. So to let you know how like just yesterday, I was so excited because I had 2 of the people that worked on this project ask me how they can move forward with the character inside of Kerra Prime outside of the 5-page thing. So one of the guys that contacted me said, hey man, I really had a lot of fun doing my 5 pages. I want to tell a story with this person. And I was like, all right, well, what do we want to do? And he kind of went over it, and they kind of went over it. And I was like, all right, well, if we do this, I'll split the cost with you of making the product, so that when we take it to Kickstarter and do all that stuff and all the money stuff. But so that's how we're going to get a Kerra Prime. Kerra Prime presents, 3 continuous issues, and then we'll drop those on Kickstarter, and then we'll collect them together and stuff. But then, like, right on the heels of that, I got contacted from another guy who wrote for the volume, and he said, all right, I want to have my own character that lives in Kerra Prime. Can we start working on that? And so now we're spitballing, creating that character and creating a backstory that involves the war and all this stuff. And then that creator is going to jump right in and create a new character that lives in Kerra Prime and stays in Kerra Prime, but only he can write for that character inside of Kerra Prime. So moving forward, so just so you guys know, the rest of the creators, there's going to be a bucket of characters that everybody can use inside of Kerra Prime. Oh, I want to use Red Hawk. I want to use Baku. I want to use Apex. That's mine. But you can't use this character and you can't use this character because these characters belong to the creators that wanted to leave them in Kerra Prime. So if you wanted to use them, you'd have to reach out to them and say, hey, Jonathan, I want to use your character. Here's kind of what I'm thinking. Would that work for you? So there's going to be characters that live in the world that you're allowed, that only I kind of Kevin Feige to make sure nothing goes bad. And then there's going to be characters that individual creators have that I'm going to be aware of, but they have the final say so whether their characters can get used. So that's kind of how we're building this out.
Lots of good collaboration.
Hopefully we'll see what happens.
Well, I'm excited for Red Hawk.
Yeah, that seems to be the popular one, man. I didn't realize that Stefano's artwork was going to be such a hit. I would have had him do mine. not to take anything away from Kevin. Kevin Stewart did a great job on my deadlift story and really blew me away. I wouldn't have been able to draw the stuff that Kevin drew for my I didn't draw anything inside this book. So
but you drew the outside.
I did do the cover. I'm pretty sure I can do covers. I don't know what it is, but I think I've got the cover thing down. But as far as doing pages, just thinking about how to draw like a wrestling ring or a UFC cage and a crowd of people and all that stuff, it just hurts my head. But he was able to turn in some amazing stuff. But I'm going to have to be talking to Stefano.
Because,
I looked
at Red Hawk. I looked at Red Hawk, and this is what I thought, because I'm an old school comic guy. I looked at it, and I'm like, wow, this is like Mad Max meets Tim Truman's Scout. That's what I thought of. That's what I thought of for a mashup. I go, it's Mad Max and Scout. This is freaking awesome.
Here's how it is. William, did you check out the handbook at all?
Not yet. I didn't have money when it came around the first time, but I did add it on to my order.
But so here's half of the United States is Mad Max. It's all abandoned and shit. So it's not just the Red Hawk character. It's that whole area of the East Coast that lives like that. So not only does Red Hawk's story in this appear to be like a Mad Max, but moving forward, anybody who plays in the Dead East could be telling a Mad Max style story, or I Am Legend, or some sort of overgrown Walking Dead type scenario, because there's a lot of abandoned real estate on the East Coast of the United States.
Oh, that's going to be great, because there's way too many people living around me now.
Yeah, I mean, in our world, we took the U.S. Capitol and moved it to Las Vegas so that it would be off of the East Coast.
Well, that seems
because
legit.
That's where the war busted out and blew off the East Coast. So they're like, we got to move the new capital. So now the United States Capitol is in Vegas, the only place where there was place to build new buildings. So they had to pipe in water and electricity and all kinds of shit. So it's very multi-dimensional.
That's cool. How you like have a couple of different areas that you can have stories take place in too, because it gives people a bigger, like you're talking about, a sandbox to play in that has multiple different things. Like you can tell a Mad Max story while also telling a story like Roach, which is kind of in a sewer.
that's the reason. So I said World War III was the aliens and all kinds of shit, and it tore wormholes in our atmosphere that allows for alternate timelines and alternate versions of, here's the alien species. So now we can, since the world is built that way, crossovers for any type of character are naturally bound to happen, and it won't feel forced because we've come to accept that as this is what the world is.
Yeah, that was definitely fun.
And it strikes me funny now because you keep saying playing in the sandbox, and apparently the East Coast is literally a sandbox.
Well, it depends on where you are. Some areas have been overgrown, with weeds and trees and vines, and then there are some areas that may have been more hit with artillery and fire and just ash, and some of them are just sand and dirt. Depends on where you go, or it depends on what your story needs.
The world is revolving, and it's going to be almost like Star Wars. There's a different topography for every story, and it's always changing.
Yes, and somehow it all works. If I can Kevin Feige my ass off, this just might work.
That was definitely.
It's from. I mean, I haven't seen a lot, but from what I have seen, I'm like, the character designs are cool. The art is top notch. The coloring's even okay, Brian.
Yeah, it's okay. But it has, to me, part of what makes things a success is appearing like it wasn't your first time. So as long as we have the appearance of this is a professional published book, even though it's kind of like patched together with someone who doesn't know how to color and make, whatever it is, I wouldn't say that we're like Marvel level, like it's not going to be that, but it does look professional. And you have to do that in order to let the customers know that you're not just fucking around. This isn't just notebook paper stapled together. Like, we're trying to show you that, hey, we know what we're doing, even if we don't really know what we're doing. But presentation is key. Like, the first time I ever did a comic book convention, I was like scared out of my mind. I didn't want to be the only guy sitting there with a tablet and a tip jar saying, hey, I'll draw you a picture for $5. So I made it my mission to go research what people's booths look like. And then I went out and bought like way more shit than I probably should have, just so that when I set up and I'm next to these guys, I look like I fit in. I look like I've been there before, because that's part of the thing, is you have to look like you've been there before.
Oof, man. See, we're getting into that business stuff now about like perceived value and all that.
Yeah. So that and so with the collection of this book, it's very, when you hold it in your hands and you put it on your shelf with all of your other graphic novels and all your other anthologies, there should not be like, oh, that's the one that kind of not cheap. Yeah. No, it's going to be like, that's the awesome one that's a sleeper hit.
And the cover on it's awesome, and the look of it, it doesn't look like a soft cover. It looks like a hardcover.
Dude, that's a graphic. I was going to say something to you. I don't even own one. Like, that's not even a real thing. That's just me throwing together some fucking JPEGs and some PNGs to just. So it may not. So picture may differ, but so I don't actually. That's not an actual picture, Will. I'm sorry, but it is just a square JPEG placed over an image of a hardcover book that I found online.
Objects in mirror.
So I guess maybe if I had made the little pages come out like this, I would have. It's a soft cover. But I didn't mislead anybody. I used the word fucking soft cover. I guess it's not just. Yeah.
I know. Let's take a look at the not final product.
Is there a way for us to get like a towel cover so that it could be a literal soft cover, like a printed towel that just kind of? I think that'd be fun.
Like a little like I'll put with
Like a book cover.
Game of Thrones seal on it, the little wax.
Yeah.
I thought about doing some cool shit, but this project did not nearly take off quite as I'm super thrilled with how we're doing, but it didn't quite take off like if I had plans that if we were on a rocket ship that we were going to do some really cool shit, and I had to turn that dial back a little bit because it didn't take off like a rocket ship, and I don't want to keep throwing money at it, but I know the next one is going to be the rocket ship. Hurry up, man! I gotta pee.
Well, go ahead. We got this.
Look at that gorgeous cover.
All right, I'm gonna mute myself. I'm gonna make me go away, so you can't see that I'm absent.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a good looking book for sure.
Yeah.
And it's really a soft cover. It really look like this. It says it right here, soft cover.
Yeah. I still think $20, like just from I like to buy stuff and I like to buy more stuff than I should perspective. Like $20 for this much stuff is pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty damn good.
Yeah. I would definitely agree with that. Like usually you're going to pay more than that, especially for a trade paperback or a soft cover like that from a Kickstarter project. I mean,
yeah, I've only seen one other. I've seen a couple that are like close to that. I saw Tyler did he was on like earlier last year, and he had a sci-fi graphic novel. It was 120 plus pages, and it was $20 shipped.
That's pretty good.
That's the cheapest I've seen, anything like that. And I'm like, that's just insane.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. And
especially for this not to have been one person doing all of it. Like I could kind of understand if it was one person who did all the work, didn't have to pay out to have anybody do anything else, but like, damn.
That's a fake book.
Yeah.
It's a real PDF though.
Yeah.
It's a real PDF. This is just graphic design. What is a soft cover?
I had to make it look good, man. That's what we're in. That's what we're in the business of doing, making shit look good.
Oh yeah. Now tell me exactly what is the collector preview signed print.
All right. Well, those are two different things. The collector preview is is going to be a roughly like a 32-page floppy comic book that lists almost every creator that was on it listed on the front. And all it's going to have inside is the one page that tells you what project one page of the story. It's more of getting this slabbed and signed up. Like, so you can leave the soft cover on your shelf.
Yep.
And you can carry this floppy around and go get it signed and remarked by as many people as you can, or have it slabbed up without while you still leave so it's really just a collector thing. There's not going to be a complete story in there for you to read. It's going to have the credits. It's going to have one page from each one of the creative stories inside of it. And it's going to have a list of everybody that's on it. So it's more of just like seeking to get everybody to sign this floppy, because I know that some collectors really like to have a wall of signed shit, and a 120-page graphic novel may not fit well on your wall, whereas this normal size comic book floppy may just do the trick.
Perfect.
And the print is just a comic book sized. It's like basically if you were to take a backing board and then just put this cool print on it, and then Brian goes, "Ooh," and then he signs it and he puts it in your package.
Now, I saw something cool last week that I didn't know about, and I was, because whenever I finish doing a show, I'll start doing the podcast thing and doing all the work for that. But I'll be going through like Facebook and YouTube, checking out what else is going on while I'm doing work. And I caught one of Comic Tom's videos where he was showing off some remarked books and some artwork and some signed prints.
Yeah, I forgot. I'm glad you reminded me because I have to write that in my expense report for this project. So in trying to help garner eyeballs for this project, which is what I'm trying to do, I had 100 prints made up, and I signed all 100 of them, and I sent them to Comic Tom and had him put them in 100 mystery mailboxes so that people would be like, "Oh, what's this signed Kerra Prime print? Let me figure out more." I sent them like 30 signed trading cards. I sent him 3 remarked Kerra Prime handbooks and 3 Kerra Prime sketch covers to randomly put into people's boxes, which hopefully they got today or tomorrow. Otherwise, it was wasting my money. Like, it was a very short notice. I should have done it sooner, but it didn't. I didn't think about reaching out to Tom until after that. Like, I have a relationship with Tom. I've worked with him in the past on doing other stuff. So I came up with the idea a little too late in the game. It should have been in last month's box, but I just didn't have. I had to have them. I had to send them out to get printed. I had to wait for the prints to come back. I had to sign them, and then I had to send them back to Tom. So logistically, I put myself in a position to not get the full benefit. But yeah, so I did that to try to increase the awareness of the project. And Tom was kind enough to do the videos and talk about it a little bit on his stuff to try to help us.
Yeah, that was cool. I go, "Hey, I know that guy." Oh, the mask. This is
So if you sign up for this, your mask will be signed by me and Bob and Kevin that wrote the Muerto Noir story inside of the handbook or inside of the trade.
Cool. And that's a pretty good deal because those masks run a few bucks.
Yeah. So I'm having a couple of them made up. We'll see what happens. Somebody's got one at least.
Cool. Sold out.
Yeah, that was the original cover art for the whole project. Someone bought the cover art, and it was signed by like 4 of the people that contributed to the book. Like, it was only like that's the only amount of people that I had come in contact with. It wasn't like just you're my 4 favorites. You were the 4 that I happened to be when the idea came to me, and I just didn't have time to like. I'm not sending it around. It's not that. But if I ran in, if more shows had happened last year, I guarantee you there'd be more signatures on there.
Oh yeah, but that's still like an awesome piece for somebody to have.
Yeah, and the backer that bought it is a very proud supporter of independent comic books, and I love that.
Very cool.
And then we got some more original art. I know that you guys went through all this, but yeah, so that's a page that I did for Starbastard and Loggerhead that came out, I think around October.
Yeah.
And then the next page is a little bit more expensive because it actually features Loggerhead. And then the one after that is the very first panel appearance of Loggerhead, of Deadlift. So that's the first panel appearance of Deadlift from Bloody Bayou. And then the next one is the first panel appearance of Loggerhead inside Bloody Bayou.
Better.
Somebody turned into a robot.
It was a ghost in the machine.
Beep,
Ghost in the shell.
Was it?
The retailer tier, we've got like 14 retailers that have decided to pick up some copies. So that's pretty awesome. That means not only did we get one backer, but that means there's 10 sets of eyeballs that will be looking at this at some point.
Yeah, that's amazing. You know, you're in because I know a lot of retailers aren't too keen on, you know, picking up crowdfunded books because they usually order like 2 or 3 months in advance.
Yeah,
but it's something that's like already done, and I'm seeing more and more retailers diving in to get indie books on their shelves because
I think with that being said, I think the retailers that are doing that already probably have a relationship with the creator and know that creator will deliver. I don't know that they would be so keen to jump on a first time kind of project, or like, see, the way I've worked so up until this point is I'm always bringing like 90% complete projects to Kickstarter. Like I don't do a Kickstarter and then say, oh, you've got to wait a year before I can put this whole thing together. Like I will front or promise the money and make sure that when we go to Kickstarter, it's already 90% complete so that there's not a lot of lag time between when you order and you know that you're going to get the product.
Yeah, it's just about, just about finished.
Yeah, right now we are currently 2 stories shy of being complete. One story just needs to be lettered, and one story only has a script. But we're getting there.
Just about complete. And the add-ons, you can get an additional PDF for $5. This is the one that I did. I got a random physical cover of one of the handbooks because I wasn't able to get it the last time. Got Kerra Prime pins, additional soft covers.
Sometimes maybe somebody wanted more than one. I wanted to create an option where you could get 2 if you wanted, but you didn't have to create a whole new tier of, do you want 1? Do you want 2? Do you want 5? Do you want 6? Like I just didn't. I'm trying to keep my Kickstarter very simple.
Mm-hmm. Blank loggerhead cover.
Well, that would be sketched on, not just blank, but I'll sketch on it for $75.
Profile color sketch. Handbook with a profile color sketch. The wrestling bodies.
Yeah, the pillow fighters, man. The pillow fighters.
I love those things.
Me, Swan.
All 4 of them for $100. $25 a piece.
Yeah. And then to close it all out, 5 random pieces of Kerra Prime artwork that I have that some people may or may not want.
That's some good looking ink work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's great line work.
Thank you guys.
Got some.
And you know what's weird is I thought about this. It's like I'm selling these pieces, and if they get sent, like that money still goes into the pot that's being divided up amongst all the creators. Like I'm not saying, well, no, you're gonna pay me, man. Artwork. Like I'm saying any money generated in this after all the bills are paid gets divvied up. So that's just another way. Like maybe next time when we do it, I can ask for, hey, would you like to donate an art piece to do this or whatever? But this is how much I want to make sure this shit happens. Is I'm willing to bite the bullet on this artwork and split the money with everybody just so we can get this shit in more people's hands. And to make sure that everybody gets paid.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. And we can get up to 200 backers.
200 backers, we're going to get 2 additional trading cards.
Oh, cool.
Nice. We got 150 people who bought into this. That's so cool.
150 backers, but listen to this though. Here's the crazy part. 14 of those backers bought 10 copies apiece. So that's an extra 140. So that's like 300 eyeballs we're getting.
Yeah.
300 sets of eyeballs. That'd be 600 eyeballs if they all had 2 eyes. But it's 300 sets of eyeballs.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
I'm excited, man.
And when I finally get the prints as well, I try to do as many shows as I can per year. I'm going to put them on, and I'm sure you guys do too. I'm going to put them on my table and be proud of them and be like, hey, this is an awesome thing that you should check out.
I don't know where we stand as far as like comp copies go for everybody. I know that's something that a lot of people try to do, but this isn't as cheap as doing floppies. But one of the things that I think is the benefit is I'm the collector. I bought this book. I will now attend the show and try to find everybody who was a part of this book. And while I'm at your table saying, hey, I really liked your story in this book, that's your chance to say, oh, well, check out this other shit that I got at my table. Hey, buy this $20 print, buy this $5 sticker or whatever. So we're letting the customers seek us out and have an interaction with us. I didn't have, if I wanted to, I could be like, we'll have it signed by 12 of the creators. Well, then they don't have the desire to go out there and find you.
Right.
Yeah, I love being treated like a Pokemon. Like, collect them all.
Yeah, man. You got to turn on the little wristwatch, and when it vibrates, you're like, oh, where is he?
Man, how fun would that be as a tier? Just be like, yeah, we got a con locator here. Like, you're driving down the road. Oh, where's he at?
I saw him. But so that's how I think about it is, granted, I can't give you a stack of comps, which would be probably the best thing to do. I'm going to give you some money, and hopefully the exposure will be the people coming to seek you out to sign that stuff. And then you can make prints of Roach or whatever story that you had. You do all that stuff all you want. I don't care.
That's awesome.
And you'll have people doing the easy thing of tracking you down on the internet, finding you on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and
sounds like he's segueing into getting us to sign out.
A million other things. So
yes, you can find me at silverbacks.com or at Brian Silverbacks, or you can back the project for the rest of the weekend at www.kerraprime.com.
Where do you like to be stalked, Andy?
Preferably a Pizza Hut, but on the internet, you can find me. I just like pizza. You can find me at andygrayart.com, and then I think Andy Gray Art on pretty much every other platform. I think there was one I went with some random name, but it's probably better if you don't know. So yeah, Andy Gray Art, kind of everywhere.
Cool. What about you, Robbie?
You can find me on Instagram at Bragdon Art, Bragdon Art, and then Robbie Bragdon Artist on Facebook as well.
Very cool. Well,
and thank you for Andy and Robbie for having me on. I know that I wasn't supposed to be here tonight, but
you're supposed to be everywhere. That's what
I don't want you to be like, oh man, he didn't show up on those guys' show. I wanted to talk about my shit the whole time.
Oh no. Glad you were here. I think this is the first interview we've been able to be on at the same time, I think. So it was cool.
Well, I appreciate everybody. I appreciate Andy. I appreciate you, Robbie. I appreciate everybody who gave me the time of day. Thank you, Will, for having us on and showcasing the project not once, but twice on both days that I went to the VA hospital.
We had to give you something to watch Monday night. Come on.
The best bookends.
The best bookends, you know. So I hope it can get up. Even more people get on this now. And I mean, I've been telling everybody about it. I've been sharing out the links
Thank you
for the
so much,
Kickstarter
sir.
everywhere, and I'm gonna be excited to get this in my hands and actually be able to read more than a page.
Yeah. Well, since the stories are only 5 pages long, I can't put out too much, or you could have a whole story and piece it all together yourself.
Yeah, I'd be like, ooh.
So I have to just give you little bits and pieces. Like even the creators don't even know what their finished stories look like. Most of them. Andy does because he did all of his own work, but I don't think Robbie has seen his finished product.
No, I'm not.
Most people have not, and that's not me being an asshole and trying to be controlling. But if Robbie gets his and he's very proud of it, he's going to show a couple of his friends, and then they'll be like, "Well, now I don't have to fucking buy his book because I know how his 5 pages is." And it's not any. Robbie did a great job. Robbie's going to want to brag and want to show people. Well, I have to, I have to say, Daddy says no.
You gotta wait to whip it out, son.
But once the Kickstarter's over, and once I have all of the work turned in and have everything formatted, all of the creators will get a PDF to look over to make sure that everything's right before I send it to the printer.
Cool.
Very cool. So go check it out. The link is in the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching us, and of course at the top of the chat. If you've already backed this, share it out to your friends that you know are going to like it. Brian and the whole crew, all 25 of them, thank you. And
that's just a rough estimate. I'm sure there's more. I was trying to be like, I wasn't for sure who was going to back out and who wasn't going to do it. So I knew that we'd have at least 25 jabronis.
Jabronis. And all I can say is Kerra Prime. What a rush!
All right, Will. Thanks for having us, buddy.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Everybody have a great night.